Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Buffalo Sports Center video. I am Don, and today we are going to detail the Bills going into this 2023 NFL season. But before I get to that, make sure to hit that like button and to subscribe. Follow us on the Instagram, join the Discord, and of course, like and subscribe here on the YouTube. Now let's get into it. And let's first discuss some of the major additions that the Bills have been afforded this offseason. With limited cap space, Brandon Beane has gone out and done some pretty good moves. He brought in Damian Harris, running back from division rival the New England Patriots. Then he also brought in wide receiver and speedster Deontay Hardy from New Orleans. He got Dalton Kincaid, tight end in the draft, and Leonard Floyd in free agency out of nowhere. And I will be talking about all of these players and a little bit more, but given the limited cap space that the Bills have been afforded, I think Brandon Beane has done a very solid job on replenishing the depth options for the Bills, especially at that wide receiver position, because I don't even have Trent Sherfield on here, and some of the other draft picks, Justin Shorter, Osiris Torrance, a lot of guys, I think, that have been picked up for bargain fees that could make huge impacts and will have huge roles on this Bills team moving forward. So this could be a good turning point, but that won't stop some of the narratives. The Bills are facing some serious doubts heading into this season, despite winning 13 games and losing 3 by a combined point total of 8. They only lost 3 games by a total of 8 points this past season. Despite all of that, the after effects of that devastating divisional round loss to the Cincinnati Bengals, where they got smoked 27-10, I live streamed that game, and I can tell you it was a really bad game, and it was probably the first really bad game I've seen the Bills play since that blowout against the Indianapolis Colts back in the 2021 season. But ever since then, there's been a cloud of sadness over the Bills. A lot of people have soured on their Super Bowl hopes. They think that they're the new Green Bay Packers and that they'll make it. They'll have a really good regular season, but once the playoff time comes, they just can't get the job done. Sean McDermott does not have that big light stature. He does not have the good enough decision-making to elevate the Bills to a Super Bowl. Josh Allen, he's been really good. Can he get them all the way? That hasn't been proven yet. And there's been a lot of doubts, a lot of people speculating where the Bills could end up this season, and it's really been very annoying as a Bills fan. As a Bills fan, hearing all the rumors about how the rest of the division has gotten better, how the AFC, they have gotten better, both have gotten better, but hearing how the Bills are no longer one of the top dogs in the conference, it's pretty interesting. Especially when a team that faced as many bad things as that team did last year, that they only lost 3 games by 8 points and then 1 game by 17 points, I'd say that's a pretty good season. But of course, pretty good isn't great. It isn't Super Bowl worthy. It isn't getting you all the way. And that's where we get into the offense, because in that divisional game, the offense was really struggling. And Brandon Beane has made some moves to address that. Like I mentioned already, Damian Harris brought in from New England. But perhaps the biggest move in the running back room is James Cook is now the lead back. Devin Singletary was shipped off. He's off to Houston now on a pretty decent free agency deal. That leaves James Cook, the second-year man, to be the new guy. He's the guy. And so far in preseason, he's looked phenomenal. James Cook has looked like one of the biggest, best, brightest, not additions per se, but consistent force on the Bills offense. Couple that with Damian Harris and even Latavius Murray, the Bills running back room is looking pretty good, and it's looking better than it has in for a couple years. But then there comes the offensive line. And there's been a lot of doubts about the offensive line and whether or not they can even protect Josh Allen. Spencer Brown, left tackle, has really struggled in the preseason. He struggled last year as well. And there are doubts as to whether or not he can actually protect Allen. He has struggled mightily, as I've said already. And the offensive line, they've had their moments in preseason, and they've also had their moments where it doesn't look so great. So all of that could be leading the Bills offense to struggle a bit, especially when they have to run. But when they've ran, this is the interesting part. Pass protection has been the greatest. Run blocking has actually been pretty good. That's the only reason why James Cook has looked good. It's because the offensive line in front of him has looked okay. So we got to take that all into account. And then there is the yards after catch. So I mentioned Deontay Hardy, Trent Sherfield, even Khalil Shakir can be brought into this discussion. Yards after catch were a major problem for the Bills because they never got any. Gabe Davis doesn't get separation all that often. Stephon Diggs is a pure vertical downfield threat who can sometimes come back. He gets separation. But there was never, I can't really remember any big highlights where the Bills had a big play that was because of a 5-yard dump off to Josh Allen, from Josh Allen to a wide receiver. We see successful offenses like the Eagles, the 49ers especially. They just dump it off to their playmakers, and their playmakers get huge yards after catch. Well, Brandon Beane must have been looking at this and going, well, they're also getting down the field pretty easily, perhaps easier than the Bills are, even though we specialize in huge chunk plays. Maybe we should take a page out of their book and try to be good not only in the deep game, but also in yards after catch, in short to medium range passing. So that has been a huge area of addressment by Beane. I think I just made up the word addressment. That's okay. But Deontay Hardy brought in huge speedster. Even Andy Isabella, who may not even be with the team, he could be with the practice squad. He was another addition during training camp that just proves where the Bills' hopes lie with. It's yards after catch, speedy, small, fast wide receivers, and even tight ends. Dalton Kincaid showed his knack for yards after catch as well in some of the preseason games. And then Dawson Knox, of course, he's always had that factor in him. He always picks up those nice passes in between the hash marks. But ever since really the departure of Cole Beasley, the Bills' offense has really been missing that guy, that slot receiver that can get the easy yards for Buffalo, that Josh Allen can just rely on him for those easy 5-6 yard pickups, so that third down doesn't seem that bad. But let's keep on moving now, folks, and talk a little bit about the defense, because unlike the offense, the defense seems to be a little more in question here. Not only is there the question of whether or not Von Miller even returns to his full-time form after his ACL tear last year, there's also the concern that the Bills don't really have a true middle linebacker. Throughout the training camp, it's only been, after Tremaine Edmonds, it's been A.J. Klein, Terrell Dodson, who is clearly not a Bills fan favorite, Bill Inspector, but he is now injured, Terrell Bernard, who's had his injury concerns. So there are really questions, serious questions, as to whether or not the heart and soul of the Bills defense will even be functional, will be anywhere close to the level of Edmonds from last year. And that's really a big problem, because you could have one of the best defenses in the NFL, but if you don't have a good linebacking core, that's just as important as your secondary, as important as your defensive line. You need good linebackers to succeed. Without them, your life is going to be incredibly difficult. Teams will exploit the middle of the field going 10, 15 yards down your throats every drive, every game, this entire season. So the Bills really do need to get that figured out, and personally, to me, that's a huge area of concern. Looking at Twitter and other online forums, it's clear to other Bills fans that the linebacking situation definitely does need to be addressed still, despite being less than 2 weeks away from the season starting. And then there is the Leslie Frazier situation. Leslie Frazier, of course, ex-defensive coordinator for the Bills, is not coming back. He has left the organization. It seems like there was just a clash between him and Sean McDermott, because they said that Frazier was going to take a year off, but he's been talking to a couple other organizations. He's been advising their defenses. So that begs the question, was it really as amicable as everyone says it was? Or maybe Sean McDermott finally got sick and tired of Leslie Frazier and giving him the respect that he probably deserves. He definitely deserves, actually. Just said he needed to take a step away from the organization. Maybe he'll come back in a year or two. It's clear that he probably won't come back. Leslie Frazier is gone, which leaves Sean McDermott to be calling the defensive plays. Will we see a huge change in the defensive style of the Bills? Will we see a Carolina Panthers 2015-esque defensive call playing? Or will we see Leslie Frazier's soft zone coverage that just got killed and exploited time after time in the Cincinnati divisional round game? We'll see. We'll have to see indeed. But folks, this is the season preview. How do you guys feel heading into this season? Do the Bills have it? Are they one of the top teams in the AFC? Or will teams like the Jets, the Dolphins, the Ravens, the Browns, the Steelers even, will they take the crown off Buffalo's head and run away with it themselves? Or can the Bills even take a step forward and become the best team in the AFC? Because like the Chiefs last offseason, Buffalo is really getting doubted. People are looking down on the Bills again. The Bills really do feel like underdogs once more. Something not really seen since the beginning of Sean McDermott's tenure. So like the Chiefs, will the Bills succeed this season, triumph over the doubting, or will they continue to slide back and back into obscurity? We'll have to see. This should be an incredibly interesting 2023 season, hugely pivotal as to where the Bills go from here. If they can get success, things will suddenly go away. Or if they don't, the Bills lose, Stephon Diggs is gone, the fan base is upset, maybe Sean McDermott goes, maybe Brandon Beane goes. We'll have to see. But the pressure is really mounting. And folks, make sure before you head on out to hit that like button and subscribe and check out the video right over here. I'm pointing over at it. Go click on it. I hope you'll like it, and I hope you like this video too. Thanks for watching. I was Don. See y'all in the next video. Peace out.